This is Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. This year, Chicago will celebrate the 30th Chicago Latino Film Festival. The seventh art takes center stage in our city, and here to talk about the festival, we have Pepe Vargas and Alejandro Riera. Let's start off by talking about you and what you do with the film festival. Alejandro?
Well, I am the Media Relations Director for the 30th Chicago Latino Film Festival. What that entails is to really, bottom line, get the word out about the festival. Get the word out about our programming, get the word out about some of our special events, manage all the media accreditation, and try to secure as many screeners as possible of the films we're presenting so that they can be reviewed by our local film critics.
Wow, quite a task.
Yes, indeed.
So it's mainly local, or I mean, this is a huge festival.
Yeah, pretty much our critics are local. I mean, we receive a lot of local coverage. In the past, we've had television stations from Mexico come in to look at the festival as an entire entity. We've had a couple of reporters who work for international wire services like DGP. And we've also had a correspondent from Miami for Siempre Latina magazine. So we've had a decent amount of international coverage, but the bulk of it is local.
Wow. And Señor Vargas, I don't feel comfortable calling you by your first name.
You can call me anything, even Pepito. People call me Pepito. I take it also okay. A sign of respect, I guess.
Okay.
I had no problem.
So tell us.
Señor, you can drop it.
Señor, I can drop it? Okay.
Yeah.
Pepe?
Yes.
You've been in this since the beginning. Tell us about how what you do now, and are you just the big overseer and you get your hands dirty?
No, I made photocopies. I do a lot of things. We have very limited resources. Therefore, it forces us to be extremely resourceful. And time, it takes time, it's extremely complex. We are sort of in between deadlines that are sort of USA deadlines, that today is today. And deadlines in Spain or Latin America today is the day after tomorrow. So we are caught in between these, and there's no way to deal with that but patience. And really flexibility,
right.
And understand the mission, why we do this, and we work very diligently to make sure that the community looks good.
Right.
That it's not sloppy, and it's not that we put something together. It's not that they are expecting, because usually I expected the Latino thing is the
second rate.
Yep, or third.
And
so
and
we
shoddy.
are showing this is state-of-the-art presentation. Something that we are extremely proud of and show the best. We are dealing with the Latino soul and spirit, the creativity, the talent. Okay. This is who we are, and that's what we are sharing. So we treat that with respect and a lot of responsibility. So that forces us to really do our very best. And out of that comes what we put to the public, great films.
That's great. And let's watch some of sample of those films right now, and then we'll talk about that and continue talking about the festival.
Good.
Keep in mind that in London,
Bienvenido.
you will get only the job
Esta es mi casa.
the English people don't want to do, okay?
A ver, ¿cuál es el pasado simple del FAC?
Every day in the furious jungle, steps falling loud and days going by.
¿Cuál es el problema? Que me tome un trago después del trabajo.
María.
Es la capital del mundo. Si la hacía acá.
Virginia.
Tú estás bien, Ponchi. ¿Dónde sacaste al sobrinito este?
When you tell me about your secret kingdom living around you, all of that seems to blur.
Sorry, but you don't realize I have to pay rent here and...
Okay, so we are going to be watching short clips of a few films throughout the show. tell us about this film. It's I Am from Chile, correct?
No, I'm from Colombia.
Yes.
This could be I am from Chile, I am from Peru, I'm from Venezuela, even I am from Spain. And it happens in London.
Okay.
But it could be in LA, Miami, or New York.
Right.
It's an immigrant story, and it's very common. People who come from their countries because they want to learn English.
Right.
And where do you go to learn English? London or New York or Chicago. It's a beautiful story, very interesting, very human, very real. And we seek out the support of our country people.
Right.
And this, naturally, I'm from Chile, he goes to a relative who lives in London. And again, it could happen anywhere.
Right.
And it could be very well be from Quito, and coming from Quito rather than Santiago. This is the closing film
That's the
of the
closing
festival.
film.
It goes along with a party and all of that, and I advise people to really get the tickets as soon as possible because they will be gone.
Right. And you said something before we went to that short clip, that you want people to know that this festival is something of quality, and that done well, and that our people, our Latino community is represented well. What does this film specifically say about Latinos, not here in the U.S., but in another part of the world?
It's reality. I mean, they show somebody who comes educated, with means to go. Not necessarily every immigrant comes looking. He was looking to learn English.
Just to learn English,
And then,
not to necessarily.
and then he has to deal with the situation. The financial situation changed the whole thing. Then he had to adjust to a life, and a very humble character, because he started working and doing his best. Now the human solidarity comes into place. Even a mafioso, I think he's Cuban, but it has nothing to do with the nationality.
Right, right.
He comes to help out of his heart, but also the economical interest that he has. But it's a very human story, and that could happen too. And last year in the festival, we have a Chinese character who comes to Colombia. He could have been in New York, but she was going to New York, but by mistake came to Bogota.
Wow.
And that's the story of immigrants.
Right.
Another side of the story, an educated person. He is not coming from the countryside of Mexico, Guatemala, or Honduras.
Right.
He's coming from a very prominent family, middle class in Santiago.
Right. Right.
And then the economical crisis happens, and then he becomes like anybody else.
Right. In search of work, in search of growth, right? Learning another language.
Oh, discovered he wanted to travel throughout Europe.
Right, definitely. And you, in your experience with the film festival, how long have you been part of the film festival?
3 years working for them, covering it since 1988. So I've been seeing it from both ends, as a journalist and as a publicist, if you will.
I certainly want to get into some of the history. How have, and I'll get to Mr. Vargas' personal experience with it, but how have you seen this film festival grow and change?
Well, I always like to think of the Latino Film Festival as a mirror. The festival has always held a mirror as to what's happening in Latin American and Spanish cinema. And one of the great things about the festival is that it brings the best of the best, but also provides audiences who are not yet familiar with our cinema a review of what's been happening within the last years in Latin American film. So one of the nice things, for example, just to give you an example, one of the most interesting aspects to me of this 30th edition is the number of films by first-time filmmakers that we're exhibiting. And that shows a trend in world cinema, but with which Latin American cinema is not immune to, of the availability of digital technology that allows all these new filmmakers to make their own films. They don't necessarily have to wait any longer to go through all this financing process, trying to secure a budget. They can grab a camera, they can tell their own stories. And the second one, but it's been part of a long-term trend, is the co-production. I mean, there's a lot of co-productions happening this year between 3, 4, 5 countries. As countries and the film industries of each country try to find creative ways to make their own films.
That sounds, well, I was going to say that technology certainly made that more accessible. And what's surprising, though, is you're saying that all these countries are now collaborating
Yes.
and putting, I guess, the money forward so that these films can be made.
Money, talent, resources. I mean, they're finding ways to share those resources, especially in Europe. I mean, if you look at the situation in Europe, in Spain right now, Spain, I think the number of co-productions between Spain and Latin American countries has increased precisely because of the financial crisis.
Okay. We're going to watch another clip now, and I promise we will get back to the history, the early days of this festival, given that it is the 30th edition. Let's watch that now.
¿Cómo te llamas? Claudia. Yo Marta.
¡Claudia! ¿Van a venir por ti? No, pero ahorita me agarro un taxi. ¿Cómo crees? Estás recién operada, te llevamos, súbete.
Mira, esta es Mariana. Saluda a Mariana. Ella es Claudia.
Hola.
Y Wendy es esta, la de afuera.
¿En qué día naciste?
El 31 de diciembre.
Ay, qué fecha tan desafortunada.
¿Hace cuánto estás solo?
Desde los 2 años.
¿Cómo es un beso por dentro?
¿Por?
¿Por saber?
¿Nos ayudarías con el recibo de la luz?
¿Por qué estás con nosotros, eh?
Espere afuera, por favor.
Well, another short clip of it's a feature length film.
Yeah, the film, yes.
And it's by a first-time filmmaker.
First time, and it is a woman. And that's another thing that over the year we have paid special attention. How can we, or the festival serves as a platform to launch new talent? And the new talent has no sex. It's men and women.
Right.
And we have pay special attention. But when you look at Hollywood, is sort of a macho-dominated industry. They rarely go beyond Sofia Coppola.
Right, that's true.
With a big name.
Right.
It's really hard to find a woman commander-in-chief of a project. But here, no, we got a woman from Puerto Rico, director, Ecuador, Peru, Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico. We got 3 women directors from Mexico.
Wow.
So that is a statement in itself. Women are making films, and Venezuela also. There's young women who had the talent.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to see my daughter's film. She's studying film. Hopefully one day I'll be stuck. Yeah, include my daughter in this big package.
That'll, I guess, in many ways, your story will come full circle. You're promoting other filmmakers, and you brought one up.
Since baby.
Now, and I do want to get to the history, but the way I want to come into that is, how has the Latino Film Festival, the Chicago Latino Film Festival, help encourage local film talent and bring up those voices, those stories here?
It's a good question. I mean, to me, the Latino community is a package. It's not the Latinos of Chicago, nor the Latinos of the U.S. So it's that plus Latinos in Latin America, Spain, and also worldwide. There are Latinos everywhere in the world.
Right.
And also we include films that have a Latino theme made by anybody else. And we have films from China, Australia, and Northern Europe. Canada is very common by somebody who is not Latino, but embraces this, get the story, and makes the film. So we wanted the Latinos of Chicago to be connected. We have a daily lunch with all of the international attendees, and we, the 2 or 3 Latinos, we include in. We want them to lunch together and immerse, and besides, we have put the films in the festival. So we wanted to really make sure that they belong to, they feel as a part of.
Right.
And over the year, we have a segment that is called Made in Chicago. Yeah, we have. There was a year that we had 7 feature films made in Chicago.
7 feature films.
Hasn't happened again. But this year we have a feature film and a couple of shorts. And that is same thing from the States. We have 4 great films made in the U.S. One also made by a woman in California about immigration, and then the other one is a great documentary about Cesar Chavez.
Right, I did see a clip of that and Martin Sheen, right?
Yeah, he actually cries. He's extremely powerful. He was very connected to the story. And so in that way we incorporate the Latinos of the U.S., the Latinos of Chicago within this package. And this is who we are. It's a mixture of many nationalities, races, language. Speaking of language, we had several films in native languages.
Native languages from
Paraguay, Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia. Colombia is a beautiful story in the tribes' language.
Wow. We're going to watch another segment now. Part of a trailer, and we'll continue our conversation.
Me llamo Nina Yatay Salas. Tengo 10 años y estoy metida en un lío de novela. Nina Yatay Salas, Nina Yatay Salas. Todo Capicúa, 3 veces Capicúa. Parece un chiste.
Ya nos enteramos de los líos que anda armando esta niñita.
Papá, Australia queda lejos.
Sí.
Mancha. Tiraste mi merienda, niña Capicúa. ¿Y la sanción cuál fue?
Van a tener que conservar estos sobres cerrados por una semana.
Es un castigo rarísimo. El más raro de toda la historia de los castigos raros.
Dábale arroz a la zorra el abad.
Algo de una zorra de arroz se puede leer de ida y vuelta. Vos estás media loca, ¿no? ¿Qué es eso?
Un manual para educarte.
¿Y lo vas a leer?
Tengo curiosidad.
Well, thanks for that small piece again. Now, this is an animated film, and what country is this from? And
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
It's a wonderful story, very human, and has nothing to envy to these big masters of Hollywood making animation. Some years ago, we had one from Peru that I was blown away. It's called Valentino, about a little dog. Fantastic. One from Mexico, but it's called The Huevos. Wonderful animations, and they are a statement of creativity, genius, people doing this.
And the Academy Awards just passed, and I always ask myself, they have such a focus on film from the U.S. and from other Western countries, and we don't see a lot of, like you said, creativity from other countries, and yet you bring that and you show that to audiences. How have people responded? You both can answer that question. How have people responded to seeing these stories? Alejandro.
Well, I think people respond very positively about these stories. Of course, like in any festival, there will be films that people will like and some films that people will hate. I mean, that's unavoidable. But people respond.
Everybody's a critic.
Everybody's a critic. But people respond very positively. First, because these films do very rarely get distributed in the United States, and that includes the occasional distribution at an art house or film center, what have you. Most of 95% of these films will not be seen outside of a festival like ours here in the United States. So to them, it's a first encounter. It's a golden opportunity to enjoy a unique product in the way it's meant to be seen in the big screen. So to them, that alone makes it worth the experience. Now, whether they like the film or not, that comes in afterwards during the Q&A when they engage the filmmakers in discussions. I mean, at this point, I don't recall people ever having a really heated discussion with a filmmaker because they hated the film. I mean, I haven't seen one yet. I'm looking forward to one. But I think from just on that basis alone, the fact that these films very rarely get distributed in the United States, and we're giving them a platform to be seen the way they're meant to be seen on the big screen and not on a smartphone. I think audiences are really grateful about that.
And these films carry a story. There's a message. Within the film, you see something that connects, make you feel and remember that. But you go a Hollywood film on Friday and then you forgot the title. Don't remember anything. Those films are
Sounds
commercial.
like going to church.
Commercial, well done, and all of that. And these films are made with the heart, really with the soul put into that, with the idea of telling a story, something that must be told. And so that's what they did. We don't compete with Hollywood first because nobody can.
Right.
It's impossible. But we are doing something that is different, that people appreciate. And the number of people is big enough that justify for us to make the effort.
Right.
30 years doing this, it pays off. And also it's very encouraging to keep doing. The International Film Festival is going to be 50 years this year, actually. Right. Why? Because it's doing something that is in demand. Right. Might not be the demand that we dream with or fantasize, but it's enough to really work and become a 50-year-old festival, and that's our case.
Right.
We'll be here for 50 years too.
I'm curious as to, this festival was born in were the studios of Charlie Chaplin, right? SNA Studios. What kept you going in those early days? I'm sure you have tough days now, and like you said, you have limited resources and you're very lean, but I'm sure times were even leaner then, and it was difficult.
No, actually it was easier. And there were better times, and we had bigger sponsors. Now it's extremely difficult to get a sponsorship, but to me I think is the need for it to be.
Okay.
The festival is needed. There are people willing to go out and pay for and come, and they are looking forward to see this. And so I am convinced that I'm dealing with something that is needed. So I need a very privileged position. And doing my job is really, I'm doing something that is needed. It must be.
Okay.
And therefore I had no problem in really going the extra mile and work with the staff. We are very limited staff, but we work extra.
Okay.
Because we are convinced that the outcome is greater than anything else.
Okay, let's watch the last clip here, and then we'll be at the end of the show pretty much by then.
No se puede pasar, está tomado por la contra. Haga silencio, vamos a ir así.
Yo voy a ser los pioneros aquí y voy a poner las reglas. No puedo dormir. Yo tampoco. ¿Sabe cómo es la escuela? No.
Niña, pero ¿por qué no tiene uniforme? Porque ella acaba de venir de Nicaragua y los papás lo van a conseguir en estos días, ¿ok?
Quiero cantar como ella.
Mi amor, usted tiene que saber que a su mamá le puede haber pasado algo.
Si yo la acuso, usted puede ir a la cárcel.
Well, thanks again for that short clip. We're getting close to the end of the show. Tell us where people that love film or just curious can go to see this wonderful collection you're bringing to our city.
Fortunately, there's only one destination, AMC Theaters.
AMC Theaters.
Illinois and Colombo Drive.
River East.
River East 21.
Okay.
We will have 5 theaters, so people can come out and go and see one film and go to the other. On weekends, they can see 3 films.
3 films.
On a weekday, 2 at least. And there are people who take vacation without leaving Chicago, only for $12. So the best way will be just be there from April 3rd, which is the opening night. We are opening with an Argentinian film and closing with a Chilean film 2 weeks later, on the 16th of April. And every day there will be 5 theaters, 3 films. On weekends there will be 4. On weekend we want the family to come out, so we lower the price. One flat fee, $8 per person,
$8
versus $12. That is the regular admission. So we're hoping that people they can go to church, but after that they come, because this will be at 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m.
So anything, the first show will be only $8. On the website will be All the information, LatinoCulturalCenter.org.
Okay. And do you give discounts for groups, like if somebody wants to take a school group?
The school, we have a matinee that is free.
That is free.
It's during the morning. We work with the Chicago Public Schools, and every year, this year is our 20th anniversary of doing that. And we get about close to 4,000 school children, from high school, grammar, and it's free. But that's during the mornings.
Okay. Yeah, we are very close to the end of the show. But I'm curious, we mentioned, and you said you want this film festival to one day turn 50. What's your vision of the Chicago Latino Film Festival when it turns 50 years old?
I mean, the festival has given us the opportunity to do many other things beyond. We created International Latino Cultural Center. It is an offspring of the festival. So we do music, theater, dance, comedy, films in the park. By then, we had to have the festival presenting a majestic place that will be the Latino Cultural Center of Chicago.
Okay.
I mean, we are working towards that, and I'm convinced that it will happen.
Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming out and sharing this wonderful festival with us, at least through the show right now.
Thank you, Juan Carlos.
Perspectivas Latinas is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to use CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Perspectivas Latinas for local issues and concerns every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.